everyone. Today we're going to talk about the weekly astrology horoscope for 13th of September. I'm going to talk about the key transits that are happening this week all the way till 20th of September, which is essentially the rundown to the Pisces full moon. So this is the second week. Last week we had the new moon in Virgo, and this week is the follow-up week from Virgo new moon. So normally in the week following a new moon, we face the challenges to the initiations we do on Virgo new moon. So the initiations that we started, or the projects that we started, or the new seeds that we had sown over the course of last week, we will face some of the challenges of that coming into this week. And I did warn of them when we talked about the Virgo new moon. One of the key challenges that we'll face at the start of the week itself is the Neptune opposition. We have Sun-Neptune opposition happening on 14th or 15th of September, which is influencing the first half of this week. And that is happening around 21 or 22 degree of mutable signs. So the mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, they will experience this the most. What is happening when we have Sun opposition to Neptune, which happens when Neptune is normally retrograde, right now, is that there is some amount of dissatisfaction that sets in. There is normally a dissatisfaction or a dissolution that is experienced at this time. Neptune is higher octave of love, but it creates a lot of fog in the area of our life where it is transiting. It stays in a specific area of our life for 14 years. So since 2011, Neptune has been transiting one of your parts of your life where it is creating the higher level of love and dedication, and is making a very unique flavor of love in that area of your life. And this is where the reality seems completely different as compared to what other people see. So we see things very differently. Yeah, it's called the rose-tinted glasses, but it's actually, it has a much higher meaning because we are being softened in that area of our life. So everything which is universally known in that area of our life, that gets dissolved. And we are asked to disintegrate the physical form or universal form of knowing in that area of the life to create something which is very specific to us. So there is an individual truth that we have to live in that area of our life. For example, for Gemini, that's happening in career. For Sagittarius, this is happening in home and family. For Virgos, this is happening in their 7th house of relationships. For Pisces, it's their entire life. The whole identity is being recreated and being reborn in a very authentic and loving fashion. It changes our perspective to that area of our life, and we are asked to create something very idealistic out of this world. Neptune rules cinema, theater, dreams essentially. So something out of this world is being created where Neptune is currently transiting in your chart, and I spoke of it in the Virgo new moon video as well. But when the Sun opposition to Neptune happens, as is happening right now, there is usually a dissolution of what's unreal that happens. We normally see a creative turning point during the Sun-Neptune opposition, which we are experiencing right now in the early part of the week. And that is a creative turning point, and it's made evident usually in retrospective view. So we'll realize this a little bit down the line. It will be made evident later. But we are realizing a reality of a situation that we did not see before. And we are asked to take a higher road of love as we see the reality in that situation, because wherever Neptune is transiting, we are asked to give selflessly in that area of our life. So whether that is spirituality for Aries, whether it's friends and networks for Taurus, it's career for Gemini, it's adventure for Cancer, it's mutual resources for Leo, or it's relationships for Virgo, or it's work and health for Libra, love and children for Scorpio, home and family for Sagittarius, or communication, discussions, ideologies for Capricorn, and for Aquarius it's money, and for Pisces it's their entire identity. So our whole identity is recreated and dissolved, and then recreated, steeped in love, where Neptune is transiting for us. So you will experience some amount of confusion, uncertainty, as well as increased sensitivity to others in the first half of this week, and we can gain alternative perspective if we allow this transit to not make us feel so dissatisfied because of what we see at this stage, because you'll have to strike a balance between what is practical, what you have to do for your work, what you have to do for your career, what you have to do for your self maintenance in the current moment, versus what you are creating for the larger good or for selflessly for somebody you love. And you'll have to strike that balance, keeping in mind that there will be a sacrifice or a selfless act that comes with it. So in the first half of the week, just stay positive even if it happens, because you have to recognize that victimhood and martyrhood is the downside of Neptune, and we can feel both when Neptune opposition happens to our sun, because our ego is challenged, our physical reality is challenged in some ways when Neptune comes here and makes this opposition. We get into a situation where sometimes we are asked to sacrifice something tangible for somebody, and as we are asked to sacrifice something tangible, that can make us feel very drained, physically drained. So Sun Neptune opposition around 14th or 15th of September can make us feel physically very vulnerable, and it can make us feel physically very drained. But at the same time, it is trying to show us another perspective. It is trying to show us another higher perspective of why we are doing what we are doing. And it is also chipping away some of our rough corners, if I may speak, to help us see the higher form of what we are creating. Neptune normally spends 14 years in each sign. So since 2011 to 2025, it is transiting and disintegrating the physical form, which can be perceived as loss by many in a specific area of our life. We are moving from what is globally accepted reality to an individual truth in that area of our life, and we are asked to take a higher road of love. So as you find yourself doing that in your personal life, globally also this aspect will play out. So there will be either some information that was not seen very clearly, which will come to light, especially an information from April 2021, when Neptune was transiting these degrees. We possibly did not see something very clearly at that time, and now we see that clearly. That will come to light, and we'll see that in global events as well, especially in US, because US is not just going through its Pluto return. United States as a country is going through its 3-year of Neptune opposition. The 3-year of Neptune opposition that United States as a country is going through will extend till 2023. Neptune opposition means that the natal Neptune of United States is being opposed by the transit Neptune, and there's a mutable T-square which is forming in the chart of United States, which shows a divided nation. Last time we had this transit was in 1861, the 3 years leading to the Civil War. So 1858 to 1861 is when Neptune opposition last happened for United States. And the current cycle of Neptune was seeded in World War II. So there is some amount of dissolution and recognition of truth that has to happen, which will cause the nation to be divided at this stage. And we are already seeing that in making, but it will accelerate as the Neptune opposition becomes more exact towards 2023. I'm not saying that we are going to have a civil war in the United States in 2023, but there's bound to be a people revolution, which is driven by split in the country. At that time, Lincoln was the president, and he said that the divided, he specifically mentioned the divided nation, and the T-square usually shows that division of opinion very clearly in the chart of a country. But for your individual capacity. Experience the messages that are coming through. Look at what at the soul level you're being told, because you might be asked to halt something practical, because there's something beyond practical that is being shown to you. Virgo season is very much a go-getting season where we have to diligently work on something practical. But the practical side of our own self needs to be balanced with another side of our soul. And that balance is struck with this opposition. At the same time, this is a turning point in your opinion about something that you were not very clear of, or which you were not seeing very clearly to start with. So that's the first aspect. We have 3 aspects playing out this week, all to do with external planets. As you know, the external planets are right now retrograde. So when the external planets are retrograde, it is like we are waiting for something to happen. Something beyond us is overdue to happen. And that will only happen when the external planets go direct. Why is the wait to the external planets to go direct in October? Is because there is an internal change that needs to happen before the external change can happen. So we are in that process of internal change during this time as a run-up to 3 external planets going direct in October. Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, all 3 of them will go direct in October, and we'll see a lot of held up things start moving forward, and that will also bring a deluge of global events with it. But as a build up to that, there are certain internal changes that are happening. One of them I mentioned, which is the Sun-Neptune opposition. The second change that is happening is the Sun trine Pluto. That is a positive aspect that is happening on 16th of September. As I mentioned in the September day by day reading to you, we will have these waves in September. We first hit sort of a wall, or maybe even a dissatisfaction, which happens because of Neptune opposition, which can cause us to feel dissatisfied with status quo, or it can make us feel that we did not see things clearly to start with, or we were imagining that this would be way easier than it is right now. But right a day or two after that, we get a conviction to move forward and reform things. And that conviction to reform things is what Sun Pluto will bring on 16th of September. This is an aspect of rebirth. This is an aspect where the period since 27th of April, when Pluto was retrograde, something within us has been disintegrating and rising up again. And now is the time for that something to be given a physical form. Pluto is right now in Capricorn. That is where restructuring of who is the authority of our life happens. So when Pluto was retrograde since 27th of April, and it will be retrograde till 6th of October, we are restructuring who owns our life, who owns our time, who's the authority of our life. Especially if you have planets around 24 degree of cardinal sign, Capricorn, Cancer, Aries or Libra. This is a very strong transit for you, where you're going through this process of transformation of your external reality in some ways. Who is the boss, who is the authority of your life, and who owns the time, your time in the world. That is going through a restructuring. But the restructuring was very inner. It was an inner restructuring since 27th of April. It's like the external transformation paused for a bit because something within us needed to be changed. Now with Sun, Pluto forming a trine on 16th of September, we are given a chance to show a positive display of this power we have discovered, or the resources we have discovered within us. And if there's a restructuring you have done of your career, of your authority, of how you manage your time when it comes to your title, when Pluto in Capricorn is very much a significator of your career. It's a significator of our who is the boss of our life, essentially. And if you have found a new road, if you found a new conviction, if you found a new path for yourself by digging deep and finding something deep within yourself, the Sun-Pluto trine is the time when we put this all into action, when we bring it to life, essentially. And you'll find that from 16th of September to 6th of October, the time when we'll find the positive manifestation of that. And this is a beautiful trine. It gives us a lot of conviction to reform anything we want in life. And there is an evolution that comes with it. There's an evolution of our external reality which comes with it. And you'll find yourself behaving, acting, presenting yourself very differently with this transit after Pluto goes direct as well from 6th of October. Because the resources you have found within yourself since 27th of April when Pluto went retrograde, those are the resources which are with you for life. They don't just go away. They stay with you for a long time. Wherever you have been giving your power away and not living your truth, and you have found a way to live that truth, that becomes an irrevocable change in our life. But so far, we did not find a physical way to live it, a physical, practical way to display that change that has happened within us over the course of last couple of months. Now is the time when we practically, physically can show that through Virgo planets. So you'll find the conviction and the intense, this is a very intense experience you'll have around 15th or 16th of September, when whatever you have conviction, and you'll find the resources to produce that in physical form. Very strong transit to make an impact on others. So if you want to convince somebody about your perspective, if you want to convince an authority figure, if you want to make a very deep reformation of your life, you want to make a big change in your life, which requires a lot of conviction, this would be the day I would choose to do that. There's a lot of persistence that comes with it. It is a aspect of powerful actions. It's an aspect which is known for powerful actions. It is an aspect which is known for resolution, for reformation. It is an aspect which is known for powerful transformations and powerful experiences. It brings out the full extent of our potential. As I mentioned in the 𝗪𝗲𝗽𝗁 activation video reading couple of weeks back, Pluto in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces, they're forming a long drawn sextile which will extend till 2026. Now Pluto is power, Neptune is spirituality. They both have nothing in common with each other if you think of it in that way, but they do have one thing in common, which is truth. They both dissolve whatever is fake. So when these two planets, they come together in a sextile, which is a harmony which we need to tap into, we are given the resources to bring out a dissolution of anything fake in our life if we want it. If we call for a change, if we call for a dissolution, if we call for an evolution, and if at the subconscious level, the collective asks for an evolution, we are able to find the resources to do it. So is the current moment something that subconsciously all of us have asked for? Is a question which is very personal to ask. It will bring out the full extent of human potential. So you'll find yourself under this aspect which is playing out through Sun and Virgo this month. You'll find yourself living your full potential in some ways, full extent of your potential in some ways, through this aspect which is playing out on 16th of September. You will crave to create something which is out of this world, which is very unique to you. You'll crave to create that in physical form, and you'll have both the desire as well as the tools to make it happen. The third aspect that is playing out on the same day is Sun forming in conjunction with Jupiter. Now, this is a transit which is of excess to some extent. So, we have to be a little bit careful when Sun makes in conjunction with Jupiter. It's a time when for growth, we are told that something needs to be adjusted. So, there'll be an adjustment which will be made for growth, and we can feel very restless and anxious for growth. At this stage, it's like we can see that the growth is coming, but there's still one more step to go. Jupiter will only go direct on 18th of October. So the growth will fully pan out only after 18th of October. If you've been looking for external support, you'll find that would truly come only after 18th of October. But in order to get there, there is some amount of adjustment that needs to be done, which will be brought to focus on 16th or 17th of September. This is an aspect of perspective. We're given a perspective of a different kind that we did not have before. There are two more things which are happening this week, and I'll speak about that by sign in a separate video. Mars is moving into Libra tomorrow. Mars is the planet which helps us get what we desire, and it's moving in its sign, if I may say, of detriment when it moves to Libra. And it will stay there till end of October. So for these 1.5 months, we have Mars, the planet that is used to actually get what we want, not at its best in Libra. But there's a way to make it work. Every placement has its way to make it work, and we'll find how to make it work. I'll speak about it in a separate video because it requires a bit more time. Venus is already in Scorpio. The positive is that Venus being in Scorpio, it does bring intensity in relationships. So you'll find that the intensity in the relationships goes many notches up. But at the same time, Venus in Scorpio helps give the focus to Mars and Libra. They are in mutual reception with each other, which is helpful. I'll speak about it separately. Thank you so much and have a great week ahead.